Could a psychological ethics book be interesting to read? Well, my general answer is usually no. I would have to say that the book I'm reviewing today is an exception because of some interesting features that Fisher thankfully included. Hi, my name is Chris Gibson, and I'm a college instructor of psychology and religion as well as a doctoral student in psychology. And I just used this book in my Ethics and Professional Issues course, so I want to share a review of this book with you. Here's the book. It's called Decoding the Ethics Code, a practical guide for psychologists, 4th edition by Celia Fisher. And I would have to say this is proven to be a good book. It's a psychological ethics textbook. It's written for psychology students in master's and doctoral programs, as well as for practicing psychologists. So what are some reasons that you may actually want to read this book? I mean, you might be thinking, well, I'm not in clinical or counseling psychology, so therefore, what would my interest be in reading this book? Well, even if you're in forensic psychology, or industrial organizational psychology, or an experimental psychology program, this book is still for you because the APA Ethics Code covers all those areas of psychology, and so does this book. This book is not just for clinical and counseling psychologists or students. It's really for anyone who works in the various areas, whether it's research, applied, or clinical psychology. Now, in the comments below, if you are a psychologist or a psychology student, tell me what area of psychology that you're studying. I would like to know that. A second reason that you may want to read this book, and I want to just mention a few features that I think are important that may be interesting. In the chapters, they have various case examples and also the need to know sections. The case examples really flesh out the ethical principles that you're seeing, and then you have the need to know sections, and in the need to know sections, it also helps to point out things that you would miss in a particular chapter and how it applies. Another part of that is the hot topics, because hot topics, she really does identify what is most relevant right now in the practice of psychology and brings those up for discussion and to give some suggestions on how to handle various situations in many cases, that are very relevant, no matter which field of psychology you're in, to the practice of psychology, whether research, applied, or clinical. Now, another part of this that I also like, and we see this in each chapter, she deals with the various types of psychology. She deals with legal issues, though. She deals with school-related issues, military, police, corrections issues, insurance, internet, prescriptions, diversity and differences in people, HIPAA, and then also a special part where she's just encouraging us to remember various points, ethical points that we need to know. And so I did find this very interesting textbook. I found that it was, set up to be practical, to be applicable to each person who reads it, and very helpful. A third reason that you may want to read this book is this book's up to date. Okay, it's 2020, so it's an up-to-date book, and it's the 4th edition, so they're continually updating it and improving it, and I would say that this book has definitely been improved, it's been updated, and so there's several things that you have to be up to date on these days. I mean, you need to be up to date on HIPAA. You need to be up to date on the Affordable Care Act. Another thing right now is teletherapy. With everything going on, teletherapy has become an important method for delivering services to clients at this point. And so how are we to do that, and to do that in an ethical fashion? So there's a lot of issues that this book addresses that are important for us to be aware of, to know. And so those are 3 reasons to read this book, but just don't start with the author's stated purpose, okay? The author's stated purpose is this: the primary purpose of this book is to provide graduate students, early career and seasoned psychologists, consumers of psychological services, and professionals in related scientific and professional disciplines with a practical guide to the meaning of applicability of the APA's ethical principles of psychologists and code of conduct. Problem with this is it's horribly written. One, it's too big, it's too broad, and typically when you do something that's too big and too broad, and if you try to help everybody, you help no one. And so I would say, in future editions, why don't they rewrite that statement of purpose, because really it's too broad, it's too big. There's no way on earth that this book is going to accomplish that, although I think this book is an accomplishment. But I am giving an opinion on that. Consumers of psychological science, that's a great idea, but how many of them are there really out there who do that? Professionals in related scientific and professional disciplines, you know what? Typically, they have their own code of ethics, they have their own standards, and they're not going out looking for a psychology ethics book. So I thought that was a little bit of an overreach there. Another thing is, that's really the only thing about this book. I mean, that statement of purpose is just overkill. But other than that, it really is a very good book. And I would, encourage you, if you're in one of those categories, to take a look at it. Go online, look at the table of contents, other things. Now, the structure of this book, it follows the structure of the APA Code of Ethics, which makes it easy to follow. In Section 1, Fisher discusses the background and principles of the Code of Ethics. In Section 2, she covers the enforceable standards of the Code of Ethics. And covering these enforceable standards, she simply goes through the APA Code of Ethics standard by standard by standard, and that is the majority of this book. Section 1, you have the intro and background, and this covers chapters 1 through 3. Chapter 1 gives you the history of the APA Code of Ethics, which is actually pretty interesting to see the development of the APA Code of Ethics. Chapter 2 continues by discussing the beginning sections of the Ethics Code, and she asks, what do they mean? And then she proceeds to pursue an answer to that question. While Chapter 3 is part of Section 1, it especially deserves its own mention. And the reason for that is Chapter 3 provides a step-by-step process for making ethical decisions. And so she explains the steps, and she uses case studies to flesh out the steps. And I found it very insightful, and it gave a process for working through ethical questions in psychology. And so I thought it was very well done. I attempted to use this process in my coursework as I was addressing various ethical issues in papers. I could see using it in my practice as a psychologist. I mean, honestly, it's practical, it's informed, it gives you a process to make a well-reasoned, rational decision. And so I thought it was very good in that respect. And then Section 2 includes chapters 4 through 13. And that's the majority of the text. And as I mentioned, she just goes, standard by standard throughout the APA Code of Ethics. And thankfully, this textbook includes many helpful features, many interesting features. Honestly, I mean, reading an psychological ethics textbook could be horribly boring and a good prescription for insomnia, right? It'll help you fall asleep. But in this case, it really was an interesting textbook. It was an engaging textbook. It was a practical textbook. And so I wanted to do a review of it, to mention it. I've read other ethics books in the past in my master's program, and they don't even compare to this one. So I did want to mention that. Now, if you typically order your books online through Amazon, I do have an affiliate link below in the description box. And an affiliate link just means that if you purchase the book through Amazon, at no cost to you, that there is a small percentage that I receive because you bought it using my affiliate link. If you don't want to do that, no problem. Not worried about it. But if you do, that obviously would help me out in getting more videos done and out and posted. So if you'd like to know when new content is published on this channel, please consider clicking on the red subscribe button. And my goal is to regularly publish reviews on psychology and religion. And when I say religion, I mean specifically psychology of religion and books in that area, which is an area that I've taught in the past. And so thank you for checking out this book review. I hope you will check out the book online and see what your own thoughts are about it. And if you've read this book and you want to share some of your own thoughts down below, please feel free to comment and share those with me. Thank you very much.